Man, I got no clue what that's gonna do for me. How's that gonna save me money? How's that gonna save me time? How's that going to get me more clients? Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Q and Answers. My name's Q Manning. I'm the general manager and I'm the founder of Rocksauce Studios. What is Rocksauce Studios? Rocksauce is a design agency. We use product thinking, design sprints, UX, UI, in some cases even development to help our clients solve really big problems with some pretty cool products. As part of that, because a lot of times what we're doing is so complicated, our clients deal with this concept of the curse of knowledge. So on today's episode of Q and Answers, that's what I want to talk about. How do I overcome the curse of knowledge? Well, first off, let's not start with having the curse of knowledge, all right? What is it? What is the curse of knowledge? Have you ever had a conversation with someone and they assumed you knew what the hell they were talking about? Maybe it's about a product, maybe it's about a work situation, maybe it's about politics and what's happening in the socioeconomic sphere of your country. And they're just going on and on and on, but in reality, you don't have a clue at all what they're talking about. You're just going, sure, yeah. That's the curse of knowledge. The person that came to you and was having this conversation assumed you knew more about the subject than you actually did. And we find this happens all the time when we tackle design-based problems. Maybe it's a website and the verbiage on the homepage is too obtuse. You've been to those marketing pages, right, where they talk about all the things their products offer, but when you're reading them, you just kind of glaze over because none of it really makes any sense. Or maybe you've dealt with an interface on an app or a piece of software and there's way too many buttons and way too much going on and you're thinking, man, I don't have a clue where to even start. I need to read this manual just to figure out what's going on. That's the curse of knowledge. This happens way too frequently, and part of our job is to help our clients overcome that. And I want to give you a couple of tips on ways that you can do it on your own and not have the curse of knowledge be beating down your door. First off, let's think about the fact that we need to be aware that we have the curse of knowledge. Don't assume that you don't. Don't assume that everybody should know what's happening in your industry, and don't assume that everybody has the same level of understanding or education. A lot of times people may come to you or your product. They may be working with the app you're making, they may be working with the book you're reading, they may be trying to deal with whatever toy you're making, who knows what the problem is. They don't have a clue as to what you're talking about because they're new to the process. They may have just got hired on the job. Maybe they've been there a month. Maybe they've been there a year. Maybe they're a 10-year veteran, who knows? But you need to be aware that you have the curse of knowledge and that you may be speaking at a higher level than they're ready to digest. So know your audience and be aware of who you're talking to. You always want to make sure that you're checking what you're doing with those who may be less knowledgeable and less informed about your specific industry. Putting your work, whatever it may be, in front of someone who has no clue what's going on and seeing if they can actually figure out what's happening through the context of what you offer is a fantastic way to break down this curse of knowledge. Why is this the case? Our bodies, evolutionarily, have decided that we need to conserve energy and calories. When you go to a website, or when you open up a book, or when you play and act with a product, maybe it's a remote control for your TV, and it's got too many buttons and too much going on, your brain starts burning calories just trying to figure out what is even happening. Well, that comes from the days in which we used to have to run away from tigers and lions and bears. Oh my. Your brain will try to find the quickest path to the information because it doesn't want to burn excess energy. The easier we make things to understand, the less calories our brains are burning, and the more we're going to grasp the concepts, the more engaged we're going to be. So putting this in front of a layman who has no indication, no clue, no background on what the product should do, and seeing if they can figure it out and discern it on their own is a great way to know you're on the right course. If that works, then hell, you know the people who have the understanding are going to figure it out, right? So it works better in that position. Make sure that you don't make excuses. Recognize when you are, and avoid making excuses for having the curse of knowledge. This can happen a lot. Well, I'll just tell you, if anybody worth their salt in our industry doesn't know this information, I don't even want them as a client. Well, that's not true. You want everybody as a client. We all do. We all want to work with whomever we can. And we don't want to scare people off because we're talking above a level they can understand. And it's not that they're ignorant, it's simply that they don't have the same experiences that you do. So when you find yourself making excuses or saying, well, yeah, this is kind of complicated and people didn't get this, but people in my industry will understand. Back up. Try to redo that. Try to make it so that anybody coming to the table can figure that out. Again, when you do that, the people who already have a great understanding of that industry or what you're trying to sell will get an even better understanding. It only helps you out. It cannot hurt you. One of the best ways to avoid the curse of knowledge is to use storytelling. Think about when you listen to a story, or think about how engaged your mind becomes when you are watching a movie, a good movie, not a mediocre one, and you're waiting with anticipation for what's coming next. That's great storytelling. She heard the noise behind the door. Gently, she turned the knob and heard the creak. A thump was there. And suddenly she felt breath on the back of her neck. She knew she needed to turn around, but she was scared. She knew that you want to know what's behind her, right? Storytelling. You have a myriad of stories that you can tell. Not your story necessarily. To be upfront, nobody really cares too much about how you came to the solution. That's making you the champion. There's this idea of the hero's journey. It is written by a lot of different individuals. Homer used it. Star Wars uses it. Joseph Campbell is an author who's written a whole lot about it. And most of our myths that we love and have known for so long tap into this concept of the hero's journey. Beginning, middle, and end, various different things happen. You're looking for a guide, you want to accomplish a goal, you need help accomplishing that goal. You want to tap into this concept of the hero's journey, and you want to tell a story that will engage your audience so that they understand what it is you're trying to sell them, what your offering is, but not in a way that's going to bore the hell out of them. You want them to be waiting for that next step to see what's going to happen next. So maybe tell a client testimonial of somebody who's had a lot of success with your product. Show that if you can. Photographs, illustrations, videos, whatever it may be. Tell a good story. As you're telling that story, people can imagine themselves in those situations. They can see themselves solving that problem with what you're offering. And it engages them to a whole different degree. That's the best advice you can get. If you need help with storytelling, if you need help trying to break down this curse of knowledge, you know what to do. You can give us a call, or you can shoot us an email, and we're going to get back to you. With that, my name is Q Manning. This has been another awesome episode of Q and Answers, and I'm going to see you next time. Adios.